Hunt is presented by the Canadian Coalition for Firearm Rights. The CCFR is Canada's gun lobby. Also brought to you by Vortex Canada, the force of optics. Prophet River Firearms, your source for Canada's finest firearms, optics, and accessories. Legal services provided by Loberg Ector, your complex commercial litigation experts.
Hey everyone, welcome to My Best Hunt. I'm your host, Rod Giltaca. Thanks for joining me again. Today on the show, we have the pleasure of welcoming Shane Farnham. How are you, man?
I am doing awesome, Rod. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for having me. I love what you're doing for the hunting community, and yeah, really appreciate you having me out here today. It's an honor.
We're excited to hear your story.
Yeah.
So first of all, we'd like to give people an opportunity. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, where people can find your work, what kind of work you do, that kind of stuff.
Absolutely. So my name is Shane Farnham. I run a YouTube channel that's called Shane Hunts. Essentially, that's my main bread and butter. I have a partnered Instagram channel that Instagram
account.
That's the one that kind of partners alongside of it. But YouTube, Shane Hunts, ShaneHunts. That's where everything that's my big one.
And how long have you been doing that?
I've been doing it now intentionally for like the last 3 years, I think. I was just accumulating a whole bunch of random footage from 2016 onward. I always knew that I wanted to, growing up watching Canada in the Rough and these kind of awesome hunting shows, and always look forward to 9 o'clock or whatever it was at Sunday morning. And I just came super invested in wanting to film my own hunts. And it seemed that I would always start a season off really strong with filming all kinds of stuff. And then by the end of the season, my intention was always just to tag something. And I would always just be like, whatever. I don't care about the camera anymore. We're just looking for that. So, but yeah, accumulated a bit of footage, started putting together some videos. And officially in 2021, I think is when I started actually releasing some videos.
Well, that's cool. You know what? You're the first person to say that I was inspired by TV hunters or what have you. Yeah. To do that. Everyone has a different reason.
Yeah, 100%. It was a big deal. And I grew up on the East Coast, and it wasn't it was always about whitetail hunting for me. And there's a lot, the whitetail season back in New Brunswick is 3 or 4 weeks and super, super short. And so you needed something to kind of fill your fix, I guess, so to speak. And Canada in the Rough, the amount of reruns that I was watching of that show, and even just watching hunting instructional videos, I was just obsessed with hunting from a super young age, and just always thought that this was the way it was going to go. So
it's a lot of work to actually film a hunt too.
It is. And that was a huge learning process for me, and something that I'm still learning now. And definitely it's hard enough to hunt big animals, but when you're actually looking to put everything together, and as far as a channel and creating a storyline and stuff like that, that's been a challenge for sure.
Well, let me throw this in before we run out of time. But I was talking to my brother-in-law on the phone this morning, and he's like, "Oh, who have you had on the show?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Oh, all kinds of guys." And I'm like, throw some names at me, because he watches a lot of hunting YouTube. And he's like, "Oh, I like watching this guy, Shane Hunts." I'm like,
"No way.
He's today." And he just, he really enjoys watching your channel. He wanted me to tell you that.
And that was your brother?
My brother-in-law, yeah.
Shout out to your brother-in-law. That's awesome. Thanks for watching.
His name is Russ.
Thank you, Russ, for watching. I appreciate that. That's a big deal.
He's interacted with you a little bit too. He's like, I've talked to that guy.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the cool.
Rusty something is.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's the cool thing about that channel, is that you kind of develop a bit of a following, or a bit of a community with the people that you're posting the videos, and lots of people commenting on it, and have opportunities to meet people that you might otherwise not have met. So yeah,
absolutely.
That's awesome. Thanks, Russ.
Awesome. All right. So what type of hunt are we talking about today?
Yeah, so today going to talk about an elk hunt, and one of the craziest elk hunts that I've ever been on, and looking to kind of share a little bit of information about how I got into elk hunting, and the background and kind of inspiration to get into it. And it was an absolute nuts hunt, and I'm really excited to share it with you. Yeah, Rod. So yeah, I've been hunting elk I'll be the first to tell you, I'm not a professional by any means. I'm certainly just brand new to the game here. As of the last 2021, I think, is when I officially intentionally started elk hunting. My younger sister, who makes cameos on the channel every now and then, she was involved in elk hunting before I was. And I think that, getting into it, I was, as the older brother, the older sibling, you're always a little bit ignorant about listening to advice of your younger sibling and that kind of thing. And she actually was the one that got me on my very first elk back in 2022. And it was right after I had been in a pretty bad like bike accident, and I got a concussion. I broke my ribs, I broke my collarbone, and I had like a concussion. And I remember that was in July, and the season started September 17th. And I remember asking my doctor at the 1st of September, "Hey doc, like, what's the max amount that I can carry with all these broken bones?" He's like, 10 pounds. So I took my rifle and I put it on my bathroom scale, and I'm like, 10 pounds, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Emma, my sister, she was the one that really was supportive of me through that entire time. She was the one that kind of knew elk behavior. And I think that my biggest mistake was always trying to apply what I knew about whitetail hunting with regards to elk hunting. And so I think that, that history of, how important my sister is to my own hunting journey, how she, like, what she's taught me and her own experience has been something that's been, just super valuable to me. And then the experiences that we have when we're out there as well.
So this is in Alberta, correct?
Yeah, this is in Alberta. So I moved out 2014, but started intentionally elk hunting in 2021. And yeah, it was out here in Alberta for sure.
So the first elk hunt that you were on?
Yeah. So when I first started, it was 2021. So my first year, there was nothing that was happening. It seemed like I was just not doing the right things or whatever. We were communicating with elk, but there was just never anything that came to fruition. We couldn't capitalize and close the deal. 2022 got my first elk, just a little cute little guy, but he was tasty for sure. And then went another year without anything back in 2023, and then which led into the 2024 season, which opened up lots of opportunities for, maybe not lots of opportunities, but opportunities for something to come together for sure.
So you're looking for something specific?
I was looking for, I always tell myself at the first of a season that I'm looking for something massive. And then you come to, like, reality hits you real quick when it's day 4 and absolutely nothing has shown up and you haven't communicated with anything. Mm-hmm. And so I was looking for something that was going to be like, I was looking for a 5x5, 6x6 in terms of inches specifically. I wasn't looking for anything that way, but I just wanted something that wasn't just going to meet the threshold of what a legal bull was.
Yeah. So were you calling them in? Was that your strategy?
Yeah, for sure. And so that was one thing that I learned, and that my application of whitetail hunting to elk hunting it's not like, it doesn't just seamlessly go into one another. And that was my own ignorance in my first couple of years of hunting, where I was just like, we're just going to sit on a field side. We're just going to call and we're just going to wait, and we're not going to move at all. We're just going to sit together here. And it was finally when I just became totally discouraged with the little amount of animals that we were seeing, that I started listening to Emma. And she's like, we need to go bushwhacking. We need to start cruising through. We need to be actually active. And I was like, okay, whatever, we'll do whatever. And so we started doing that. And then certainly, like, almost right away, we were getting bugles back. We were interacting with elk as opposed to calling and hearing once, and then that would be the end of it.
Interesting. So now this is the 2024 hunt that we're talking about. So how did that all start?
Yeah. And so going into 2024, it was, again, had lots of opportunities with, my younger sister came out from the East Coast. She's in New Brunswick right now. She flew out. We spent an entire week together in my camper. I bought a camper last summer, just to be, in the midst of everything. We spent the first week out there together, just kind of camping, and we spent the first week, there was absolutely nothing happening. And unfortunately had to ship my sister back to New Brunswick with not much. I think we only got on like maybe 2 bulls over the course of that first week. And it was a little bit discouraging, 100%. But I think that, again, just learning from her and learning things that she knew and shipping her back, I was in a better position to shoot something. I think accumulating that knowledge that she was sharing, and then whether it was going to be with her or without her, I was going to get one for sure.
But you didn't see what you were looking for? No,
I saw I saw a grizzly bear, and that really wasn't what I was looking for at all. But that was just a quick little interaction, luckily, and sprinted out of the woods pretty much after that. But we only had one real opportunity where there was a bull that was about 50, 60 yards out of the tree line, but it was so windy. Automatically, as soon as we went into that tree line, he stopped bugling, and it was discouraging. It was, that's hunting, and that's what happens is every single day you're not going to have opportunities to get something until you do. Yeah, so September 30th rolls around. I've been out for a couple of weeks at this point in time, spending time in my camper. It was awesome to have opportunities just to be out in the middle of nowhere and really kind of be with your thoughts. And that's an awesome thing about hunting. And so honestly, at the end of that day, or on September 30th, it was a Sunday. It was the last opportunity I had to go hunting. I had to go back to work the next day. I was like, whatever, we'll finish strong. One more morning hunt. We'll get this out of the way and then we'll travel back home. And so I remember going into my stand that morning, or going into the quarter section that I was going to be hunting, and just feeling like partially discouraged, but there's still that little tiny sense of optimism that something might happen.
A little bit of hope still.
A little bit of hope.
Yeah.
It wasn't totally diminished at that point. And I remember getting to my stand, or getting to the place that I park, and I always have to lock my truck before I start going into the set. And you always wait for a gust of wind to drown out the sound of your horn. And that's what I did. I waited for that little gust of wind. I clicked, my truck honked, and a bull responded to that. I was like, all this work that I do to try and communicate, and all I had to do was lock my truck. And so that was like, oh, okay, something might happen. The wind was absolutely perfect. It was coming in the right way. And it was just everything was going the right way. But I didn't want to put that out to the universe, because I was like, I don't want to be totally just broken. Mm-hmm. And so I started cruising in. It was 40 minutes probably before light at this point in time. I was like, I'll get into the heart of the woods and I'll start doing some calling. So I'm cruising. I get in there. This bull is screaming back and forth to me this entire time that I'm there. He hears me trudging through the woods. And at one point in time, I remember there were two bulls that were right out in front of me. There was one that was right up this way, and there was one that was over here. And I was like, honestly, I don't care about legal bull. Like obviously, we're going to shoot a legal bull, but we're getting who's ever going to be most committed to me at this point in time. That's who we're going for. Mm-hmm. And this guy just took 1 second and stopped responding. I was like, okay, this is my guy. And so I remember going into that set, and it was I remember documenting on my camera 5 minutes before legal light, at legal light, and then 5 minutes after legal light. And finally, the last couple of days, talk about getting lost in the bush. The last couple of days prior to going out to this day, I remember being lost literally on this quarter section and putting down so many different waypoints on my iHunter app that I was using. And I just remember I had this beautiful map of absolutely what the layout was of the piece of property. And so I knew exactly, despite it being almost dark, and I knew exactly where I needed to go. So this bull starts coming in. He's probably 600 yards away at this point in time. And I'm like, I need to get to this open section. And by open section, I mean he is in an area where I can see 80 yards as opposed to 25. Mm-hmm. I sprinted to get to that little open section, and it was kismet. As soon as I got to that open area, I stuck down my tripod of my camera. I got my monopod up, I got my rifle up, and I just remember almost as soon as everything was set up, he stepped out of the tree line. And he started walking in towards me. And I literally blacked out at this point in time. I was so amped up. My adrenaline was going so much. And I just remember seeing the whale tails that these guys had, the big boys have. And I remember seeing those the first time I've ever seen it in real life. And I was beside myself, but still confident that something was going to happen. He walked in, and the distance that he covered from 80 yards till 20 yards, it seemed in a split second. I'm looking down at my camera, trying to make sure he's in frame, watching him walk in, and then I'm trying to keep my rifle centered on him too. All the while I'm shaking absolute nuts.
Well, this is the last day.
It was the last possible day that I was out there. And so sure enough, he rolls up and he comes into I think I ranged him at like 20 yards, or I ranged that tree at 20 yards after. And he stopped there, and I was just looking at him, and there was this tiny little branch that was just sitting in the way. And I remember that was in my scope, and I was like, I just remember making a tiny little movement around that branch, and I pulled the trigger, and it was insane. He went down right away, first shot, and then my dad always teaches me, make sure that don't take your eyes off something until it's not moving anymore. And so shackled a couple more in. He did need a couple more rounds, but it was absolutely nuts. And so we tagged that huge guy. And then right afterwards, like, it was absolutely nuts, because I was calling, first instinct is you always want to call your little sister. You want to tell your partner and everything. Mm-hmm. And so I'm calling them, and my little sister, it was so funny because she knew even before she picked up the phone. I never even told her that I was anything. And I called her, and she was so excited on the phone, and I didn't even have to tell her. She just was able to figure that out. But so that was that. And yeah, obviously with elk, lots and lots of work to be done as far as like pack outs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And for the next 9 hours and 37 minutes, I ended up packing this guy out, and it took 5 different trips, a kilometer each time, packing out like 80 pounds on each one. And by the end of the day, like, I was just like so exhausted, but I couldn't even believe that it all just happened.
Yeah, that's a full freezer there.
It definitely was. Yeah, and like I was saying, like, it was an absolutely crazy experience when he walked in for the first time. And like, funny, when you're videoing your own hunts, you don't really have opportunities to see how you react until you do. And I had an opportunity, like, I had a Tacticam video that was on the end of the barrel of my rifle, and I remember watching that back for the first time and just being like, man, is that what I look like? I was just so so pumped. And I just remember the different facial expressions that I had never seen from myself. And like, you look down at the ground, and then people are like, is he faking? I was like, no, that is real, actually, what is happening.
It's as real as it gets.
That's as real as it gets. And if people could feel what my heart rate was at that point in time, I'm sure they could feel it through the screen. But I was just,
there's a lot going on there.
There's so much happening, and you're trying to do so many different things. You're running your camera, you're running your rifle, you're trying to like capturing all of this stuff on video is just so challenging. And I think that the guys that do it well are totally underrated and don't get enough credit. And it's just putting it all together in that opportunity. In that instance, I had an opportunity for that to happen.
Do you credit your little sister for leading you there?
No.
I think you should take all the credit yourself, personally.
Yeah, me too.
We'll leave that up to you.
Yeah,
guys.
Sorry, Emma, but
you worked that out.
Yeah, exactly. So she was a little bit shook because she went back to New Brunswick, and then of course it was like the week after that I shot the biggest bull in my life. So yeah, that was all me. It didn't need Emma for that.
So what did you do with him?
With the bull?
Yeah.
So I packed him out, made him into, had all kinds of different jerkies, burgers, steaks, everything else like that. And had a really awesome butcher do it up, packed him out, took about just under 10 hours to complete that. When we were doing that, it was about 80 pounds per pack out. And it was a crazy, crazy long day, but again, just blacked out the whole time. And so it didn't feel that long after all.
Well, it was very exciting. Well, okay. Thank you for sharing that story. It was awesome.
Yeah.
And you did a great job telling us that story. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Rod. Thanks.
All right. So one more time, where can people find your work?
Yeah, absolutely. So please go check out the YouTube channel. It's called Shane Hunts, ShaneHunts. That's my big one. And again, everything on Instagram just kind of supplements what I do on YouTube. But please go check out the channel. Go subscribe if you'd like to. I'd love to hear from you guys, and whoever. And I'd love to have an opportunity to connect.
And as far as the size of the channel, it's still manageable so that you can actually respond to people.
I can still do it. I'm just under 2,000 right now, but I am trying to respond to all the comments as much as I possibly can. It's still manageable right now, but
I remember those days myself.
Yeah, hopefully maybe one day I'll look back, but
Awesome. Thanks so much, Shane.
Yeah, thanks again, Rod, for having me.
If you'd like to be a guest on My Best Hunt, email us a link to your video at show@mybesthunt.ca.
Look at that buck. Look at that buck. Other side. It opens up right up here. Big appreciation and thanks to my little sister Emma. So she's pretty awesome. So anyone needs a free guide that cooks for you.